Hi, I'm attorney William Bronchick, and this video will describe to you what is a self-directed IRA and how you can use it to invest in real estate and other non-traditional assets. An IRA is an individual retirement account. It means it's tied to an individual, and you can have more than one type of IRA. There's the traditional IRA, which most people have, the Roth IRA, the simple, the SEP, and even the educational IRA. You can even inherit an IRA. And there are many different types, but they all have one thing in common. They can all be self-directed into real estate or other non-traditional assets. Now, what is a self-directed IRA? Well, technically, there's no such thing as a self-directed IRA. An IRA is an IRA is an IRA. Traditionally, you will direct your investments into whatever your custodian will allow. So if you're set up with a big financial institution, Fidelity, Schwab, and so forth, you can direct your investments into things like stocks, CDs, money market, and etc. Now, can you invest in real estate? Is it legal? Well, the IRS only prohibits two types of assets to be invested in your IRA, and that are collectibles and insurance. And that's really about it. That leaves open real estate and many, many other types of investment assets. So, can you invest your Fidelity or Schwab IRA into real estate? Well, the short answer is no, because the law does not require a custodian to offer you any specific type of investment. They could limit what investments that you can choose with them as the custodian. So what you have to do is choose a more smaller boutique firm that specializes in non-traditional assets such as real estate. You do what's called a rollover, and you move funds tax-free from one custodian to another. Simply like going from Fidelity to Schwab or to Edward Jones, except you're going to a more smaller, more boutique firm that specializes in non-traditional assets like real estate. Now, the running of the IRA is not quite as simple as it was before. It's not just click, 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 and $7 trades. It's not quite that easy. You have to fill out a fax form called a direction of investment, send it on over to the custodian. It may take them several days to react and fulfill the investment direction. So, for example, you might say, wire money over to this title company to purchase this real estate asset. And it may take a few days to do so. And every transaction requires a fee and requires a form, which can get cumbersome and can get expensive. Transactions include, if you had a rental property, every time rent comes in, that's a transaction. Make a deposit, that's a transaction. Write a check for this mortgage, that's a transaction. Write check for these repairs, and so on and so forth. So every transaction can get cumbersome and expensive, which is why many people set up what's called the checkbook IRA. Now, the checkbook IRA is where you set up a single member LLC that is owned by your IRA account. The money is then placed in the LLC's checking account, and you as manager of that LLC have checkbook privileges to write checks and deposit checks in the LLC account. Now, there are certain rules you have to follow when investing your IRA money, particularly in a checkbook IRA. You can't, obviously, buy things that are disqualified, such as collectibles and insurance. But you also can't deal with disqualified parties. And what most people don't realize is that they are a disqualified party as an individual from their IRA. That means you can't borrow from your IRA. The real estate is not purchased by borrowing the money from the IRA and purchasing it in your name. The real estate is purchased directly in the name of the IRA. So if the custodian were Fidelity, which it wouldn't be, the title to the property would read Fidelity Investments Incorporated for benefit of account number 1345A. Now, of course, you can't use Fidelity or Schwab or one of those. You're probably going to use a more boutique firm when you roll your money over to them and then direct them what to do with your investment. If you'd like more information on how to set up a self-directed IRA for investing in real estate, precious metals, or other non-traditional type assets, give my office a call at 303-398-7032 or visit bronchicklaw.com.